I
I'm a Revenant main. But when ArenaNet dropped this Bladesworn trailer for End of Dragons, that all went out the window. I was absolutely enamored and played the entire expansion on my shiny new Bladesworn. I loved it so much that I brought it to PvP and played an entire season on it, and I even finished in the top 100 players on my server. But over the years, ANET made so many changes to the spec, and I've slowly reverted back to my old ways and returned to my main class, Herald. Until a good friend of mine, fellow YouTuber, and Guild Wars 2's most handsome player, Pseudo, reached out to me and offered me a challenge. I wasn't kidding about the most handsome thing, by the way. He challenged me to trade mains with him. So I would play Bladesworn only, and he would play Herald only. And at the end, we would both make videos documenting how our experiences went. So kick back for a while and I'll tell you the story of my week with Bladesworn. And be sure to check out Pseudo's channel for his video on Herald. Link to that will be in the description. To begin my week, I chose to create a brand new warrior to really get myself immersed in the class. I decided to make him a Norn because I had an idea for a character that I think was pretty good. You'll see it here in just a sec. And I've always loved the Norn characters. I think the intro is really cool. My first character was a Norn, and I love the Norn starter zones. They're some of my favorite in the whole game. And so you can see here that my idea for a new character comes from Elden Ring. I thought I would make one that was inspired by a Crucible Knight. So those of you who've played Elden Ring, let me know in the comments if I got the vibe kind of close. And of course, like every new character, I get the absolute thrill of killing the tutorial boss, which I don't mean to brag, but I beat it first try, guys. So I'm pretty good at this game. So that guy, of course, fell, and I found myself in the PvP lobby, which is exactly where I want to be. For those of you who don't know, maybe you're new here, my absolute favorite thing about Guild Wars 2 is its PvP. It's the reason I still play all these years later. Yes, I've killed all the raid bosses and all the dungeons, and I mean, all that stuff is excellent. But to me, where you can really test out a build and experience its intricate little details is in fighting another player. You can learn a boss's mechanics and moveset and trivialize most PvE encounters with just about any build, but in a PvP environment, you can't predict how the other player is going to play, and this means your build needs to be just as sharp as your mind. And so, I set out to find the right Bladesworn build. For me, this is no easy task because Bladesworn has been, let's just say, out of the meta for ages, and a lot of new builds have cropped up since Bladesworn was released. So I tested, I started on the training golems, I'd try something out, make some tweaks, try another thing out, make further tweaks, ad nauseum. Nothing felt quite right to me, and a lot of the skills just felt clunky. I plan to explain this a little bit more thoroughly at the end of the video, so stick around for that. After some testing, I started to get something that felt like maybe it could stand a chance, so I booted up my very first unranked match in years on the Bladesworn. Here's how it went. Badly. It went really very, very badly. You see, Bladesworn is a duelist, which means it wants to find smaller fights, maybe some 1v1s, and take those. But the issue is that it is hopelessly outclassed by the meta duelists. Let's take a close look at this fight versus this ranger player who is playing Power Untamed. And by the way, I'm not the best Bladesworn player. I could have played this much better, but I just want to illustrate how little this build does versus the best builds in the game. I start the fight by dodging his spear leap, and then using my leap skill to get toward the node. Not the best use of that skill on my part, but anyway. I try to use my projectile block skill to block his spear throw, but that doesn't even matter because that spear throw is completely unblockable. I then try to break line of sight so that I don't continue to eat his ranged damage, but his pet continues to apply damage to me and put poison on my bar, which makes it so that I can't even heal. The fight has barely even begun and I'm already at half health. So I charge up my Dragon Slash, Bladesworn's signature ability, the thing that this whole class revolves around, and it hits him for 2,000 damage. From there, I try to heal again, but there's still poison on my bar, which makes it so my heal does absolutely nothing. And from there, the Untamed just has to press just about any sword skill or any ambush skill, and I will die. And that's exactly what happens. Could I have played that better? Yes, absolutely. But when you invest time into your Bladesworn and practice it and start climbing the leaderboard and eventually bring it into ranked PvP, you're going to be up against the best builds like this. And you're going to have a hard time. Oh, speaking of ranked PvP, that reminds me, this challenge is about ranked PvP. You know, the harder and more competitive version of PvP? So in this challenge, I wanted to play at least 10 ranked games on Bladesworn over the week and compare my starting and ending rating to see how it changed. And before I roll the footage, make your bets. How do you think it changed? Do you think it went up? Do you think it went down?
What do you have up your sleeve this time?
I'm dying. Help me.
I'm sorry I neglected you. Oh, I never expected you to run away.
He needs some milk.
Just an ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness!
Please come home, 'cause I miss you, Gary.
Hey, everyone just is like a faggot who has like it's a bunch of fags with like infinite ego.
Gary, let me see. I was blind. I'd do anything to change your mind. More than just a bench, you're my best friend. So cool to forget the fact that we are family. Forgive me for making you want your own. Now my heart is beating like the saddest metro. Somewhere I hope you're reading my latest three-word poem. Gary, come home. Gary, come home. Gary, come home. Gary, come home.
In my 10 ranked games, I won 2 and lost 8. 2 and 8. To put it in numbers, my starting rank was Platinum 1 at 1519 rating, and my ending rank was Gold 2 at 1387 rating. This was, without a doubt, the single most painful week of PvP I have ever experienced. There were games where I faced top tier players and lost, and there were games where I had top tier players on my team and still lost. All kinds of variables, but only one constant, and that was me losing. And more often than not, I was the weakest link of my team. So that brings me to the golden question, the thing I had to think about for an entire week. Why? Why is Bladesworn so bad? It's hard to really convey unless you've played Bladesworn versus good players, so I've tried my best to itemize my complaints into a bit of a list here to hopefully illustrate what exactly I think is wrong with Bladesworn. Number 1, Fury. Now this may come as a surprise to a lot of you that this is mentioned first. But those of you who have spent time on Warrior know that Warrior has a really hard time accessing Fury. And it's an incredibly important boon to have because it boosts your crit chance by 25%, which is the equivalent of adding 525 precision to your build. And that's a heck of a lot, because if you're not critting, you're missing out on the 200% crit damage modifier, and you'll be hitting like a wet grandma. So the moral of the story is Fury is really effing important, and Warrior is scraping together crumbs of it. Most other Warrior builds can take the Greatsword because its F1 skill allows you to keep up almost permanent Fury, but Bladesworn can't access Greatsword F1. It has Dragon Slash there instead, so it can't get that Fury from it, making Greatsword useless. Oh, but didn't they add the Relic of the Midnight King, which grants Fury on Interrupt, which allows warriors to get Fury? Well, sure, but they took Bladesworn's Interrupt off of the Dragon Slash, so we can't make use of that relic either. Okay, so how about we get Fury from the arms straight line? No. So all we're left with is 4 Great Justice, which is a terrible skill to be shoehorned into using, because its only purpose is to give Fury. It would be great to have the option to take another stun break, or hey, a movement skill, but no, we have to bring 4 Great Justice along like it's our annoying little cousin. Trading a utility skill for 1 boon is not a trade that feels good to make and greatly restricts what you can run in your build. Number 2, slow, clunky movement. Alright, so we all know that in Ended Dragons, which is the expansion that ArenaNet released Bladesworn, they wanted to give all the classes more mobility, right? Well, not Warrior apparently, because when I play Spellbreaker with a greatsword and staff, or even with a dagger and shield, I feel like I can zoom around the map. After all, Warrior was the fastest class in vanilla Guild Wars 2, but Bladesworn shoehorns you into using weapons that have no mobility because of its incessant reliance on ammo skills. Yeah, those are the ones with the little numbers on top. You can cast them more than once, it's kind of their gimmick, but I mean, I get it. Haha, gun, saber, ammo, skills. I bet it was a slam dunk in the writer's room, but it corrals you away from the fun weapons on Warrior and toward weapons that have a number attached instead, which sucks. Warrior is supposed to be the weapon master. You're supposed to be able to use a wide arsenal of weapons, not just one, but on Bladesworn it feels like you're playing against your own build if you don't take the axe and the pistol. And number 3, my third complaint is the gun saber. Yes, the weapon itself annoys me. First of all, I really don't like that it has a ranged damage component on the auto attack. I mean, just from a design perspective alone, I don't think that Guild Wars 2 needs any more ranged damage spam. I think it cheapens the design of the game at large if everything just spams damage from range. But anyway, I would much rather have Bladesworn back to how it was at launch. Melee only with a little bit of ranged poke. I want this thing to be a menace in melee. I don't want any of the spec's power budget being used up on a pathetic, spammy pew-pew thing. The ranged component is more of a hindrance than a benefit in PvP, especially because we cannot stow the gun saber. What does this mean? On every other weapon in the game, you can press a keybind to stow your weapon, which cancels whatever attack you were doing and puts the weapon back in its sheath. This allows you to not proc a Spellbreaker's full counter, or not get reflected on by a Tempest. But not Bladesworn, we can't stow this thing, so whatever's in front of us is catching our pathetic spammy pew-pew damage, whether that's going to hurt us or not. And not having the ability to stow this weapon really makes us into a big, dumb brute who oftentimes hurts himself in his own rage. And finally, Dragon Slash used to daze back when Bladesworn was released. This is important because Warrior has so many skills that proc when you land a CC. Daze, of course, being a CC. But ArenaNet patched it out so that Dragon Slash no longer dazes enemies, so you're locked out of using some of Warrior's best traits. Alright then, smart guy, what would you do to fix this spec then? I actually think it's really simple. Here's what I would do to fix/improve Bladesworn. First thing I would do is put Fury in the Strength trait line. As of right now, the Arms trait line is the only one that gives Warriors Fury. Arms is nice in PvE, but for PvP, it's really not a trait line that does you any favors. So it just holds Fury hostage right now. I'd love to see Fury be added somewhere in the Strength trait line, ideally on one of the passives. Berserker players, this would also help you guys, just saying. The next thing I would do is I would move Bladesworn away from ammo skills. The reason you play Warrior is for the variety of skills and weapons. Being shoehorned into taking the same weapons and skills feels really bad, and I would love to see Bladesworn moved away from its reliance on ammo skills entirely. This would require tweaking the 3 traits in the Bladesworn trait line that proc when spending ammo, but they can proc on literally anything else. Maybe flow spent, or maybe CCing enemies, or hey, even just on landing a Dragon Slash, that would be fine. After that, I would do a QA sweep. Let me stow this gun saber. Make Dragon Slash 2 use the same UI as Greatsword 3 so I can actually choose where I want to go. Give Dragon Slash Teleport some more range so we can actually do cool stuff with it. Make Gunsaber 5 leap travel a longer distance so we can actually get around the map. And finally, I would take the stun off of Gunsaber 3 and add it back to Dragon Slash 1. You should be rewarded for landing that ability. It's what this spec is all about. It takes no skill to land a ranged projectile. And a ranged, spammy, CC plus damage projectile is just not helping the game from a design perspective. I say put it back on the Slash. And honestly, I think if those changes were implemented, the class would be fine. Or at least it would be a step in the direction toward being fine, and I would play it much, much more. Now, if you're a Bladesworn fan who just loves the spec for the art and visuals, maybe a gunblade is an archetype that you enjoy in other games, I say don't lose hope. ArenaNet is always listening to the community, and the people who balance this game really have the game's best interest in mind. I really do think all we need to do is propose changes to the spec in a constructive and polite manner, and eventually we will see it improved. And PvPers, please do not flame anyone for playing Bladesworn just because some chump on YouTube didn't enjoy playing it. This whole video is just my opinion, man, and I don't want to be the last one to get a say on all of these things. I invite absolutely anyone to make a response video, tag me in it, and I promise I will watch it and respond. But for me, I will be hanging up my Gunsaber for the foreseeable future. I rate Bladesworn a 4 out of 10. Oh hey, you're still here. Thanks very much for watching to the very end of the video. That helps the YouTube channel more than you could probably ever know. So thank you very much for sticking around, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I really truly put everything into this one. This was my very best attempt. I tried to do the best video I possibly could. I started working on this one on March 28th, and I've been working ever since on it. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Because this is very different from what I've ever made before. I wrote a script, it was a bit inspired by other YouTubers, and I don't know, I just did this one differently, put a lot of extra work into it, and yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, enjoyed the different format, I'd love to know that. You can leave me a comment or shoot me a message on Discord or whatever. But yeah, so thanks very much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you left a like or shared this with a friend or something along those lines. And yeah, I guess that is enough for me. So until next time, I will see you guys next week for another video. Thanks.